Thank you for joining me for this week's podcast. I believe it will be uplifting, encouraging, and dynamically bless your life. We're going to go right into it. We're going to talk about what things might look like. God's not done with you yet. This is not the end of your life. Your story is still being written. And I want to give you a passage from Genesis chapter 32, verse 10. And it talks about Jacob, who's Abraham's grandson. And he makes this declaration that many of us might be able to relate to. He says this: "When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Now my household fills 2 large camps." For some of us, this is part of your story. Many of us started just like Jacob, with nothing but the shoes on our feet and the clothes on our backs. If that sounds like you, just wait till God calls you to start moving to the other side. And you obey that call, your life will change for the better. Your end will be greater than your beginning. It's not about where you started. It's not about where you are right now. Your story is still being written. What God is trying to get you to understand is your beginning might be small, and it might look like you don't have much going on right now, but your latter days will be very great. It's time for you to get your mind and your heart and your daily actions aligned with the future God has planned for you. Get ready to move to the level of living that God is trying to move you to. Now, let me be clear about this. God is not sitting in a genie bottle just waiting for you to whisk something into existence. You must be willing to move, take steps, take actions to get to the other side. Unfortunately, too many people underestimate the challenges and obstacles that will invariably come when you attempt to level up to a better place in life. So naturally, there's going to be resistance, storms, and obstacles as you take steps to change for the better. But if you keep going and you don't give up, you will say what Jacob said: "I am not worthy of all this unfailing love, O God, and faithfulness you have shown to me. I own nothing except a walking stick. Now my household fills 2 large camps." What he's saying there is he started with appeared to be nothing, and now his latter end is far better than its beginning. And that's the message I believe the Lord is trying to tell many of you today that might be struggling financially, emotionally, in your relationship. It might be challenging now. It might be difficult now. But God's got a plan for you. And His plan is to prosper you. His plan is to give you help. His plan is to see that you are successful in this life. Now, you got to be careful with how you define success, and you can't use the world's definition. But that's a different podcast and a different message for a different day. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the life of Job, which, if you're not familiar with this story, I encourage you to read it in its entirety. It's one of the most fascinating stories of success, tragedy, and a remarkable comeback. Right from the very first chapter, we find that Job was, in fact, the richest person in the entire area. If we look at verse 9 and 10, we can get a sense of the source and foundation of Job's success. He says this in verse 10. This is Satan talking, mind you. This is the devil talking. Now, you talk about being blessed. Now, you're so blessed. You're so protected by God that the enemy himself is complaining to God about it. Now, you talk about haters. Job had the hater of haters. He has Satan himself hating on him. So we find he says this: Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? Catch this. You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. And if you're anything like me, you got to be wondering, that's great for Job, but what about my life? When is the hand of God going to show? When is the favor of the Lord going to encamp around me and my household? And I got good news of this message is that God's favor is for you. Now, if you're looking to have this type of protection and growth and overall favor and blessings that Job experienced, look at Psalms 90:17 and listen to how the psalmist wrote this prayer. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Let him establish the work of our hands. Yes, establish the work of our hands. In essence, this verse is a prayer for God's favor and blessing on our efforts and endeavors. If you begin asking God in faith for guidance and success in the work that you do and the things that you undertake, you will undoubtedly begin to experience it. Again, you must ask in faith. Now, I do want to note something interesting about all this talk about blessings and riches and all the good things that come with this. There's trouble in life. And Job is no exception. And I don't want to tell you the entire story again. I want to encourage you again to read it for yourself. But the spoiler alert is on. Job experiences the loss of everything on a scale rarely ever experienced by any single human being. All 6 of his children killed, or every dime of his wealth stripped away. Even his health vanishes with illness and boils. On top of that, if that wasn't bad enough, his own wife told him to curse God and die before she left him. Now understand this. This is how good God is. This is how great God is. And this is why I like to encourage people. Don't get caught up in the present moment. This too shall pass. And these things, these struggles, these hardships of this life aren't even worthy to be compared to the glory we're going to receive in eternity. But God is just interested in our eternity. And that's obviously the priority. But he also is interested in you being blessed on earth. You radiating the glory of God on earth. You being a blessing to those around you. So at the conclusion of Job's trials and terrible troubles, we see that the Lord restored his fortunes. Now, you may have experienced something like this in your life. You may have been up and now you're down. You may have been down and never been up, but I'm here to tell you, God will lift you up. God will restore your fortunes. God gave Job twice as much as he had before. And again, God is no respecter of persons. He blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. Just like he's talking to you and I today. God is here telling you he's going to bless your latter end more than your beginning end. God is ready to pour out his blessing, but you got to receive it. You got to accept it. You got to expect it. You got to declare it. You got to begin to walk like it's real. You got to be talking like it's real. You got to think like it's real. You got to convince yourself. You got to understand that God is not a man that he shall lie. So if God said, I'm going to bless you, you're going to bless. If God said, my favor will encamp about you, his favor is going to encamp about you. I really hope you understand that. I really hope you feel the power of what's being said today. I really hope you understand the power of God's word and understand the strength that comes with faith in what God is declaring today. I'm praying today that God will pour his blessing upon your life, that you will open your eyes to the spiritual dimension, that your eyes will be open to what's possible through Christ. It says all things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. You got to understand it's the power of God in you that's going to enable you to do the things that seems impossible to be done. And this is a great life we live. I want to thank you for joining me for this week's podcast. I believe you will be blessed and strengthened as you request the favor of God to be in your life.